Namaste. Hi, I'm Gayatri, and I'm going to talk about emotions, how to process and deal with emotions based on yoga and Ayurveda. So, um, one of the reasons why we tend to repress emotions is that usually we're taught that from a young age because our parents or caregivers or whoever's around us um, is uncomfortable with us expressing strong emotions, probably because they also learned similar things. So we tend to get into this habit of repressing emotions, especially emotions that feel unpleasant, so like anger or sadness, things like that. We also often can be taught to repress even positive emotions, but more frequently it's the negative emotions. And the reason why this is a problem is they become trapped inside our consciousness, and often they're trapped inside our body. So you will feel this, you'll feel a physical reaction with certain emotions, right? So if we're afraid, maybe we'll do something like this, like to protect ourselves. We'll kind of round forward, tighten up our shoulders. And if we do that, over and over, we'll develop maybe some pain in the shoulders because those muscles are now kind of permanently tightened. And so the emotion is, that experience of the emotion is trapped in there. Um, and then later on, it'll cause us problems. And it's very similar to eating. Emotions are a kind of a um, mental or emotional food, just like physical food nourishes our body. And with physical food, right, it goes through the body, it's processed, it comes out the other end. And if it doesn't come out, then we have problems. And the same thing with emotions. They need to be processed properly or they get stuck in there. And just like constipation causes physical problems, then they cause problems with our mind, with our thoughts, that later on they'll kind of come out and we'll have toxic behaviors or thoughts or emotional problems because we haven't processed properly. So, yoga helps us to process things that might have been repressed and kind of stuck. And so, when we're doing yoga poses, breathing exercises, meditation, these are all ways to help process. There's other ways as well. Any kind of exercise can often do this. Massage is a good way to kind of bring these things out. But what happens is when they come out, if we're still caught in that habit of repressing them, we might just do that again and then they'll just go back and they won't be really released. So when that happens, when we feel it arise, especially if it's something that we classify as unpleasant, so like a fear, um, we might just repress it again. But what we can do is train ourselves to look at it a little bit differently. So let's say, for example, you see a complicated work of art, or you meet a new person that's intriguing, but you don't quite understand them, right? So what would you do in that case? You might just observe it a little more closely, right? Try to have a friendly attitude, an open attitude, and just kind of gently observe. You don't have to go you know, into it all the way. Like you wouldn't necessarily go and look at the piece of art really up close, or you wouldn't necessarily start spending all your time with this person, but you might just have a friendly attitude and kind of get to know it a little bit and see what is there, what's really there, because we tend to just cut it off and not want to experience it. But if we look at this and say, okay, I'm going to have a friendly attitude towards this and just observe it and allow ourselves to experience it and stop pushing it away. Um, and then it can be processed and it can be released, just like the digestion of the food, right? It can be released and then we feel good afterward. Um, but by this constant kind of trying to avoid it, we're just pushing it down and it's going to come out in kind of yucky or toxic ways. Just like, if you get constipated, you might have a lot of gas or bad breath. And, it's kind of a funny thing to think about, but it's really the same thing that's coming out of us emotionally or mentally based on things that we haven't processed. So uh, that's how it works. And I hope you like this video. If you do, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Namaste.